This is Jack, owner of Hockey Alley. I'm here with Kent Carlson, NHL defenseman from the Montreal Canadiens. How are you, Kent?
Good, Jack. How are you? Great to hear from you, buddy. It's been a
Thanks,
while.
you too. It's been a while. I want to let the viewers know how we met and how we reconnected. It's kind of an interesting story. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, way back, I want to say it was my first. Let's see, the hockey school that you were at as just a little guy was probably, I want to say, 1983, the summer of '83. I was helping in a hockey school in Concord, New Hampshire, and it was the year that I was going to be trying out for the Montreal Canadiens. They had been drafted by them, so it was going to be my first training camp. And so I met you, and I always remembered you because not only were you the politest kid and the nicest kid, and
Thank you.
always wanting to learn and asking great questions, and but you were the hardest working kid that I saw back then, and you stood out, and that's a special thing. And when we reconnected tons of years later on Facebook, it was the most unbelievable thing. It just felt like fate to me in a way, and it was special. And you had told me how you shot like I want to say hundreds of pucks a day, because I was telling you to do things like that to make it as far as you can, which you did. You ended up playing professionally, and it just was the coolest story, because now we're like buddies, and we're both Swedes, and well, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, the way I met you, at the school there, and then you're part Swedish and I'm Swedish, and then we connected. And when you came out with Montreal to play in LA, I came out to watch you practice, and the biggest thrill of my life was to go on the ice with the Montreal Canadiens after practice and shoot around. That I'll never forget. With everybody was there,
it's still kind of well, that was special, and it was for me too, Jack. I feel just like you did. Still to this day, it's kind of like a dream that I actually was in the same locker room with guys like Guy Lafleur and Robinson and Gainey and all those guys. It's amazing.
Yeah. And when you first walked in, making the team, and then you're on the team, who was your defensive partner?
Let's see. They had me in the beginning playing with Larry Robinson.
Wow.
Mostly, I guess, probably because he would be a good babysitter for a new rookie. And but also a thrill, unbelievably.
Yeah.
So that was mostly who I started with the Canadiens playing with.
And that team was a Hall of Fame team. You had Bob Gainey, Guy Lafleur. What was it like to skate with Guy Lafleur?
Unbelievable. The guy, what a lot of people don't know or realize is he has like a childlike humor, but yet he's so great on the ice. But in the locker room, he's cracking everybody up and acting silly and funny, and so it was kind of unique, because you as a fan growing up and you see these guys playing, then you're in the same locker room as them, you're studying them, wondering what they're like. And here's Guy. You're thinking, I better not do this around him. Should I call him Mr. Lafleur, or is it Guy, or what? What do you do? And he made you feel so comfortable, like he was like your buddy you had your whole life. There was no real process of kind of warming up to the guy. He just, if you made the team, you were one of the guys, and he treated you like that. He was awesome.
Yeah, amazing. I remember in the practice, he was going around the net and messing with the goalies while everybody was doing the training. You guys were running some kind of a power play or something on the other side, and here's Guy. He's just going around with the goalies. I was like, why? It looked odd, even at my age, I noticed that. I was about 10 and a half or so. Who did you sit next to in the dressing room? Because I know the Montreal Canadiens dressing room is like the shrine, It's like the place to be as a hockey player.
So to my right was Craig Ludwig.
Okay.
And to my left was Rick Natras.
Oh, wow. So you're the defense, did this defense sit on one side or anything, and the forwards on another? Was that how that was done?
Yeah, it was sort of that way, I guess. I don't think it was always that way, depending on who came in when. But the side that I was on, the other side had a couple of D too, a couple of defensemen. But Yeah, on my side, I guess, was because after Natras was, well, no, actually, after Natras was John Shabbat. He was a forward, but then after him was Rick Green, a defenseman. To my right, again, was Ludwig, but then right after him was Chelios. And then
Chelios
Mark Hunter was Mark Hunter, who was a forward. Well, Chelios was there mid-season. He wasn't there immediately when I first got there, but then he came after the Olympics.
Okay.
I just remember he sat on the other side of Ludwig.
Okay, it looks like to me, it looks like numbers in order because you had number 2, and that's a famous number that you had. You know who that is? Doug Harvey.
It was famous to me for Doug Harvey, but also for Jacques Leperrier, who was the assistant coach and wore that for a ton of years. And Lappy, that's his nickname. To me, he's probably my favorite coach. Wow. Certainly one of them that I ever had in my life. Great guy, and I was so honored to wear his number, which he took after Harvey, I guess. And so that was awesome. But they ended up retiring it, obviously, for Doug Harvey at some point, so I lost it.
Oh. And did you ever get to keep
I lost the number.
Oh, did you ever get to keep any of your jerseys over the years?
Yeah, I did, Jack. My son has some of them. I don't know if I have any with me now, but I think my son who lives in Florida has them.
Okay. And, Montreal's known for defense. I mean, is that the first thing when you play for them? They're like, that's the biggest thing for them, right? Is that they just talk about defense first, correct? Is that how it was?
Yes, very focused on defensive play, even with their forwards. They had a defensive, every team, I guess, had a checking line, a defensive type line. And ours was Gainey, Carbonneau, and Nyland, who also could score goals. But they were, I think Carbonneau won the Selke, which was best defensive forward numerous times. And and awesome. Same with Bob Gainey. Gainey. So that line was something. But yes, they like big defensemen, physical defensemen, and there was definitely a focus on defense. But we had scored, you had Guy Lafleur. So there's certainly Matt Naslin, guys that could score. So they weren't short on that. I got traded, Jack, 86 to St. Louis halfway through the season, and they ended up winning the Cup that year. And we came we lost in the 7th game to Calgary in Game 7, who went on to play the Canadiens and lose in however many games that was. But Nyland, who called me, he had a radio show and called me to do an interview a few months ago, was asking if I had gotten a ring because I was with the team, until halfway through the season. I said I didn't, and I understand that's okay. But it was kind of sad in a way to not have been part of that with all those guys.
Yeah, it's you play 25 games or more, you get a ring, I think, in the regular season. And did you play that or? But
I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look. But I mean, I'm not going to complain at this point that I didn't get one because I wasn't part of that team. Even if I fell under the rules that I deserve or I should get one, I just I wasn't on that team. I was with St. Louis, so that's how it is.
Yeah. Growing up or playing hockey over the years, what was your game ritual? Like, preparation? Did you have a special? Were you superstitious? Did you have any superstitions or anything?
Yeah, I always left to right, my left shin pad to the right shin pad, left skate first, then right skate. Always, quirky things like that. When I get on the ice, I'd need to check my edges. I'd stand on the boards and make sure I had no lost edge. The last thing you want to do is be right in the middle of skating around warm up and you're wiping out face first into the boards or something. So I'd always check my edges. There was sort of I have a bit of OCD, and so I was fanatical about checking that. But nothing much more than that.
We all do that. So. When I first met you, you're the one who inspired me to shoot the puck hard, and I was watching you shoot, and you were using the heavy wood sticks. You were clearing the ring from the goal line in the air about a foot off the ice and hitting the boards on the other end. And if you wanted to go over the glass 15 rows up, because the rink had seats 25 rows up on the one end, if you remember.
Yeah,
and you were clearing
you got a good memory.
And I just couldn't. I was like, wow, I want to be like him. And I started practicing. But you're the one who inspired me to start shooting hard. And I remember in one game, you were playing for Montreal, and you took a slap shot, and the guy blocked it. He was a St. Louis player. I think they had to carry him off on a stretcher, I believe. It was pretty serious. Do you remember that incident?
I don't actually, but you're unbelievably nice, Jack. I would say that
Thank you.
I could have had, see, this is something that people don't realize with the wooden sticks you do, but others wouldn't realize it, because I've been told by you taught me about the new sticks that they use now and how much harder you can shoot, how much like you can get it up in the air easier.
Yes.
So I've been told that by other people too. And back then, for me, it was more important to be able to stick handle well, so I used a very stiff stick. If I used a less stiff stick, wooden stick, I would have been able to air it or shoot it up higher. But from the point, playing defense, I felt it was always important not to. Nowadays, they're shooting from the point up in the corners for shots. It's kind of amazing to me, but the equipment has changed. But back then, guys, you kept your shot low for a tip or just to, get it on net. Now it's like everybody's trying to be Bobby Hull and they can shoot better. There's no doubt about it. I mean, between the evolution of training and the sticks, there's a big change. I used, at that time, Jack, I may have been using a Titan. In college, I used a Canadian.
I like
and then
Canadian.
in pro, I started with Titan, then switched to Sherbrooke. But I'd always ask, you could get your sticks made by the company however you wanted them. We were lucky
Custom.
in that way. And so, yes, custom. And so I always had a stiff stick because I felt more important for focus with stick handling. I probably should have used a less stiff stick so I could, maybe get a little more on the shot, up in get it up a little more easier. But if I had to, and I don't think I ever had a shot like you had, but
yeah, you did.
I don't know about that.
I thought you shot about 100
I know now
miles
you
an
could
hour.
you could air it up into the end, into the bleachers at the Everett Arena in Concord if you wanted to. And I'd be lucky if I reached the net.
No, I saw. Look, for viewers out there listening, he shot from the goal line at one end and not about a foot off the ice and made it all the way and hit the boards without touching the ice. That just doesn't happen. I remember seeing that. I was there. I was looking. I was like, wow. And, the stick consistency is better with the graphites. Remember that wood sticks, they're all different. They're not consistent.
Yes.
That was the disadvantage with the wood stick, but the feel was better.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
How many sticks
That's what
did
you taught
use?
me, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's a graphite. Is the wrap differently? They have the kick points precise and everything's different. Like the blades are stiffer.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
If you were to go back and play, Jack, would you use the graphite or would you be happier with a wooden stick?
Canadian 6001.
Really?
I used those for 12 years.
Is that right? Yeah.
I love those
wondered.
sticks. I mean, just the feel of the puck, but when you hit it, the goalie can feel it through the pads, because it's a heavy shot. With the wood stick, you have it's slower a little bit, but it's got a heavy, Yeah, it's very different. How many sticks did you use in a season? And what about other teammates, if you recall any of that?
Oh, that's a tough question. Gosh, let's see. You could break a couple. I've seen guys break a couple of practice. Plus, you had guys that would get ticked off about something and just break them intentionally. Back then, guys were going through sticks like toothpicks, and so and you had an unlimited supply, which we were lucky for. I don't. That's hard to say, Jack. For me, I wasn't playing as much regularly as other guys like a Larry Robinson or whatever. But I had to go through. You mean how many did I break?
No, how many in a season would you use? Approximately.
Well, I get it. It would have changed. In college, you change a lot because the curve isn't always even if you're getting the same stick, the curve isn't always the same.
No.
The tension or whatever, the stiffness isn't always the same.
No.
When you got the custom made sticks, they're always the same. So I wasn't changing sticks much, other than if I broke one. And wooden sticks break, fairly often. Somebody could step on one, or it just could be a one that just the way you hit it to the ice, to the puck, or whatever, it breaks. And so, I don't remember numbers per se, but it was quite a few sticks that you go through back then.
Yes. Who was your toughest opponent that you faced, or you don't want to say, that you had to go against?
Toughest fighting or toughest competitor?
That one too, but more playing a one-on-one, a guy coming down against on your side, who would be the guy that would be the most challenging or toughest back in the day to stop?
The guys I remember in that regard, Jack, were even though Bork didn't necessarily go end to end a lot, but when sometimes I was playing forward. But when he gets the puck and he gets going in his own end, he was not Bobby Orr, but he was pretty darn close. And
he was good.
Boy, could he skate. And then Gilles Perreault. I don't know if you remember Gilles Perreault, but I played defense against Buffalo with him. That guy had wheels. Could he skate.
And he could stick handle,
too. When he got going, when he got going, you were just hoping that somehow somebody broke him up before he got to you, and because you didn't want to get turned, which he had the ability to go around D quite amazingly with his speed and his stick handling, like you said. He was special.
He was fast. Did you ever get to play against? Did you ever get to play against Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux?
Yes, I did. Yes, Gretzky was more of a playmaker, smart, genius on the ice as far as finding open guys and making passes that you don't see an opening for, but he gets them there. I wouldn't call him like somebody that you felt like was going to burn you, necessarily. But not that he never did. He did do some of that, but he didn't strike me out there as fast as like a Perreault or Ray Bourque.
Ray Bourque was a power skater, like very powerful on his legs.
Yes.
How about Mario? Yep. What do you recall on Mario playing against him?
Oh,
Mario Lemieux.
He was big, tough to move. I met him on the boards once, but he wasn't dirty. And boy, could that guy stick handle. I mean, geez.
Reach. A lot of reach.
Yeah, reach. And the guy, what he could do was stick handling. His stick handling he may be the best stick handler I ever saw. His stick handling was phenomenal. What he could do with a puck with those wooden sticks. Now they do that kind of stuff like nothing. But times have changed now. But
my friend thinks that he would have broken Gretzky's record if he would have been healthy, because he said that he was a lot more. With the amount of time he played, his record goals was amazing for ratio per game.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
and he took more abuse than Gretzky. Nobody touched Gretzky, for whatever reason. But Mario got hacked, he got hit, but he dealt with it. He was like 6'4", and he was strong, and he dealt with it. He didn't cry about it either. If you hit him, he took it, and if you hacked him, he took it, and he just kept playing. And the guys really were hard on him. Gretzky, for some reason, it's almost like he had an unwritten. It was almost like an unwritten rule.
I was going to ask you that. I'm going to ask you controversial here. Is there an unwritten rule in the league that everybody on every team knows was not to touch Gretzky, or was that going around at all? You can't hit him if you come into the league, or?
You just kind of, I didn't discuss it with anybody ever that I recall. And it just, if you observe out there and you're playing against them, you kind of know that the penalties were called differently. If you knocked him over, it better be as obviously clean as possible, or you're going to get a penalty. Not to mention, you're going to get guys like Semenko, McClellan, McSorley after you, which, we would deal with. The guys that fought would deal with that, but some guys don't want to deal with that, and you don't blame them, and so they go a little. So it's sort of just like it just kind of happens. It's kind of strange to explain, and it just went that way. But I've never seen anybody, even watching him on TV or playing against him, a guy not get touched like he did. Or like he didn't. He nobody touched that guy for the most part. I've seen I think that John
Did they grab their jerseys or no? Did they ever grab them, kind of hold them?
I didn't see a lot of that. You had some guys that like Casper on the Bruins and some other guys that played against him that were out there to just shadow him and stay with him all the time. They may have done some of that. A smaller guy, but for the most part, even those guys you didn't really see hit him. It's kind of a strange thing, Jack, when I think back on it, because you look at what the abuse that Orr took, or Mario Lemieux and so on, and geez, but I think he had a different set of, well, I shouldn't even say that, but almost a different set of rules, because the league needed him. They needed a star like that brought people to the game. And if you're going to hit him, you're going to, even if it's clean, there's a good chance they're going to make it up that is a cross check or a boarding or roughing or something that it really wasn't. So
But if to draw fans, you had to have Gretzky. He made the game big. He made a huge difference here in LA. So maybe those set of rules were good to promote the game and bring in the fans. It's a business, at the end of the day. It's a business.
I understand it. Yeah. I totally understand it. Guys like Orr and Gretzky changed the game. They Orr brought in fans like, you hear teammates that would tell stories about playing with Bobby Orr, and we'd go to Los Angeles and they'd get a full house, which they didn't typically get, but because Orr, they wanted to see Orr, and Gretzky did the same thing and some. I mean, when Gretzky was in town, whatever town it was, it's going to be packed because of him. So he did a lot for the game. So it's not like I'm bitter about the whole thing with him. So
who was the toughest fight you had to fight against a player? Toughest opponent? And you fought a little bit amount or quite a bit? I don't recall every fight I've seen.
Yeah, well, I fought McSorley, I fought Probert, I fought O'Reilly.
O'Reilly, wow.
I fought Paul Holmgren. I fought quite a few guys, but the worst fight I ever had was against a guy that I wouldn't even say is a fighter. It was this guy, Steve Conroy, who was playing for Calgary, and he just got I don't know if you want to call it a jump. It's not like he cheated. It's just like he caught me early, and then I never got reorganized, and he dropped me like twice, and never for good. I got back up, but that was my worst fight ever. Most of my fights I never lost decisively, except for that one. I lost some, but not in a decisive way like I did that one.
What about a guy like Dave Brown? Did you ever face him?
I didn't fight Dave Brown, no.
Yeah, I thought he was a tough guy. He was tough. I think. Of people
he's one of the toughest ever.
Yeah, nobody wanted to mess with him. Who was your idol growing up?
Bobby Orr, Bobby Hull, and I actually loved Tony Esposito. Like I always wanted to play him in street hockey. Pretend that I was him. I mean,
what's the greatest goal you ever shot on?
Well, for me, it would be Tony Esposito. I ended up playing against him, which I was lucky for, because he was part of me always wishes if I had to do it over again, I played goalie. I loved goalie, but I just chose to stay playing out, and I'm glad I did. But if we had 2 lives to live, the next time I would want to play goalie. And Tony Esposito was my favorite. I just loved his style, the way he played. And so when I shot on him, I didn't score on him, but it was that was a thrill for me, just to be on the same ice as that guy, because he was huge to me growing up.
Nah, it's awesome. It's an awesome memories. I want to ask you, what do you think of the new NHL? I have a little problem with the new NHL, the way it's going, and I don't watch much games anymore. What about you?
I'm with you, Jack. I don't watch it as much as I used to. I watched a lot of the playoffs this past season, but I didn't watch much of the regular season. The playoffs, it's a totally different game. They took out the clutching and grabbing, hooking, and slowing guys down. You can't impede guys' progress into their, going into your zone like you used to. Because I played some forward too, you'd get reamed out by the coach if you let your opposing winger, I'm a left wing, if I let the right winger go barreling in on the defense without getting in his way at all, then you're going to get benched. Well, not if you're Guy Lafleur, but I mean in my case. And so you hold them up, but you can't do that now. So those guys are coming in 100 miles an hour. I'm exaggerating, but they're coming in fast. And guys, I'm surprised there's not more injuries, even though the equipment's better and guys are wearing visors now versus when I played. A lot of guys weren't even wearing helmets still when I played. The game is so fast. It's almost like to me watching what do you call that game? The arcade game there, not bumper pool, but something. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, but it's like bang, 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 bang. It's all over the place. You don't have a guy slowing it up or who makes a nice rush and then passes off and there's a nice goal.
You mean like a pick?
Yeah, something along those lines, and so it's all over the place, and it's I guess from what I hear, that's what the fans like. But most hockey people like you and I and others I know don't like the game now. I mean, I got a bunch of pro hockey buddies I stay in touch with even daily that don't like it either and stopped watching because of this. It's too fast. It's too clustery. It's different.
Would you put the red line back? They took it out in 2004.
They did. I that's fine to do that and everything, I guess. But I'd consider it. I don't even care if they make the rinks bigger because, then maybe you'd see more guys holding on to the puck longer. But you don't see the puck is moved just
A lot of
so
passing,
fast, so much. Yeah, a lot of passing, which on a power play is nice to see. But I miss the days when a guy like Potvin or a Bork would take the puck, control it, maybe they'd swing back around in their own zone and start over again. They'd wait till somebody get open. Now it's just like bang, 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 bang. And it's not quite as fun for me to watch it.
Too strategic and too much. They're controlled. They don't have that freedom to do what they want like they in the past.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know what? Back in the day, if you got hit, you would suck it up and you get back and play in the game. Correct? Big hit. Nowadays, they're whining about it. They still want to fight. They get offended if they get hit clean. They drop the glove. They want to go fight. That never happened back in the day.
No, I mean, fighters were fighting and stuff back then. There was more fights with less, no visors. So you get hit in the face, you felt it more. So these guys are lucky to fight with a visor on. But the hitting is, I have guys talking about. I don't watch it enough, Jack, to make a strong opinion on that. But I have friends telling me what you just said to be true, which is that guys are whining all the time if they get hit, and always complaining, and that every hit is a problem. And the days of like the big hits, at center ice or this, that, and the other now called. But at the same time, the speed is faster, so. Yeah. That some of the checks when they do happen might be bad, but it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other in some ways as far as that goes. But I find that back in the day there were less complaining about the hits like you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I saw, and even in my time when I played junior hockey and all that, we suck it up. We just get back into play. Yeah. Any advice for kids? There's a lot of kids that listen to my channel. A lot of my students and.
Yes, I have the best advice I could give a kid today would be to go to Hockey Alley and train there. If I had a Hockey Alley when I was a kid, that your dad, what he does with the weight training and what you guys do on the on ice training, and they have that rink that you can use year round, like you guys do in the small rink that work on shooting. And oh my gosh, I would have loved to have had that. The day when I was a kid, Jack, the hockey schools were just standing around a lot of the time. There's too many kids. It's just it's 2 weeks of nothing really, and a waste of time. What you guys do, there's so much individual attention, small groups, things that and you're doing off ice stuff, which nobody told us what to do back in the day. Off ice, we were all just guessing. What do we do? Push-ups and bench presses.
My dad so if they're wondering who does the off ice, it's my dad and his gym that does the off ice.
That's not great me. Stuff. I watch the videos all the time. What you guys do at Hockey Alley is special. It's wonderful. Literally, like that's the way to go if you want to play at any high level. I'd go to a place like Hockey Alley for sure.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for the compliment. I don't really show much of the students' videos of training or anything like that. It's very personal for they come in and they train, but the stuff most of my videos are on hockey sticks and just kind of bringing back hockey history. That's what I do in these interviews and talking to you and showing the hockey sticks. It's all about the things get forgotten over the years, and I want to bring it back. So let the new generation know how it was, because you don't want to just hear a story from a book. And you want words on a piece of paper. You want to actually hear it from you, where you experienced that and you've done that and you've been there. And
totally agree with you, Jack. It's fun. I mean, I love looking. I will check out on YouTube old stuff from the 60s, 70s, and 80s before I look at any of the recent stuff. It could be a playoff game from 1973 or something. And guys like you and I, and guys that I played with a little before me, a little after me, like you're quite a bit younger than me, but we all were also fans, when we followed the game, the history of the game. It seems like guys I hear now don't do that as much, and that's sort of a shame in a way, and the history of the game is so special, and it's amazing to look back and know, things like what did Bobby Hull do in the off season, or what were their lives like back then? What kind of money did they make, or what kind of sticks did they use, and why did they use this type of stick or this curve, and so on. It's interesting.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I don't even want to ask this, but what were contracts like back then? Did you get bonuses on certain amount of points?
Well, I don't mind. I'll tell you, I have no problem.
I'm scared
being honest.
I don't want. That's something I don't like to ask because it's personal.
No, it's okay, Jack.
I know
you're
what
one
they
of my
make
best
today.
friends. You can ask me anything.
Thank you.
So my signing bonus, I was a second round draft pick, 32nd overall. So that's high.
Yes.
And so I'm very proud of that. But all I got, for me back then, it was unbelievable. But compared to today, my signing bonus was $35,000, and my contract first year was $90,000. I got up to $130,000 was the tops I ever made in a season, which to me, even now, would be wonderful. But today's game, I mean, that's nothing. I mean, it's.
But
like,
you got to think of the money, the difference in the money, like the value of the money today. That's I don't know how many times you would go up with that. Like, what was the minimum wage?
It's like money. Like I talked to a friend of mine. I bumped into Kelly Chase, who was playing. I played with him briefly in Peoria and St. Louis, and I bumped into him in Montreal at a bar when I was up visiting a friend. It was kind of a small world, and he was still. I had retired. He had he was still playing, and it was a couple years after I retired, and he was telling me the difference in the salaries, because what happened is you got bigger TV contracts, you got hockey cards became a big business, all sorts of things brought money into the game, so that the owners were making more money, so the players were going to make more money. And now it's no big deal for an average player to get $1 million a year, so.
Well, it's the minimum in the NHL, I think, 700,000 now.
So they got to get to Hockey Alley if they want to make that kind of money.
Thank you for that, Kent. Yeah,
that's true.
Thank you. We do our best. We help everybody. I have 9 of my students made it to the NHL for at least one game over the years. That started with us. They were kids.
That's awesome.
Thank you. It's at least 125 to 150 guys that got scholarships, played minor leagues. That kind of thing. So about 125 to 150 guys. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Kent. It was great talk.
Awesome. To even play at the college level is special.
Yes, it's to get a scholarship. It's a gift. It's
big time. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, thank you, Jack, very much.
You.
You're one of my best friends. I love you like a brother, and
thank you.
Thank you for this, and please say hi to your dad and your family for me.
I will. I want to say, we reconnected after 34 years, and I saw you on Facebook, your name, when you clicked on a hockey photo that you liked, and then that's how I reached out to you. So that's something didn't mention in the beginning so it was 34 years later that we reconnected. It was amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm so happy.
It's special.
You got
special to me. I'll never forget meeting you and knowing you and friendship like you gave me. So
thank you, Kent. Thank you. Same here. Thank you.
All right,
I really
buddy.
appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too, Jack. Stay in touch, buddy.